at the dinner table. I am not eating any food right now because I just got back from lunch with a friend of mine about a few hours ago. It's like almost 7:30, and I go to bed really early, so usually I try not to eat a bunch of food before I go to bed. But anyway, yeah, dinner table conversations. This is another one in regards to the fact that, like, I went out with a friend this afternoon and we went to go see that new Barbie movie. And after that we went to lunch. And I think it's really interesting because there's one thing that I remember being said where it's like that whole monologue. There's this, if you haven't seen it, spoiler. Yeah, there's like this whole scene where like America Ferrera's character is basically talking about like standards of being a woman. And I remember there was a part where she said, he's like, we don't want to be thin, but we have to say that we want to be healthy. And I was like, well, that's funny because I'm going through this weird relationship with food right now, because I feel like as you get older, and I think as you get older, it feels like, you know, like things change about your body. And it's like, sometimes, I don't know, it depends. Like some people handle that change pretty well, some people don't. Like I remember like about a month or two ago, I remember looking at my body and I was like, well, where did all this little like loose skin come from? Because like I've had an athletic build since I was in college. Like, I mean, well, actually no, since way before then. I've always been very muscular because I've always been very active and I'm very athletic. So I feel like that has nothing to do with me like being insecure about my weight. It's just more so as I'm just so used to my body being a certain way, and I've always eaten whatever I wanted because I can justify it by the fact that I'm just gonna burn it off literally in the next like hour or so. And especially since now that I'm living, you know, on my own, and I have a bike now, and so that's my main form of transportation that I rely on. And my thighs really hurt. This is week 2. I have just come through week 2 of riding my bike to work. This is like the end of July. This is July 29th, I believe. And yeah, so it's been week 2 of riding my bike, and my thighs are killing me. Not as bad as it was the first week that I started. So the second week is not as bad, but it's still like, you know, I just know for a fact I need a good massage. I really do. Because it's like every time I do yoga and I sit, you know, like when you sit on your heels, it just feels like every time I do that, I literally feel like a stretch in my thigh muscles. Like I think it's I want to say it's quads, but I think like the front part of your thigh, or I think the back of the hamstring. I'm not a kinesiologist or anybody who knows anything about muscles or a doctor or anything like that, but I just know the front part of my thighs gets like a really good stretch every time I sit in that position. And I realize I need a really good massage because I literally am feeling that in my thighs. And so and it's true, I do want to be healthy because I feel like it's like I do want to be healthy, and I know that I have had to make some changes recently to my diet. In my little bread basket, I switched to whole wheat bread because I realized that there's so much sugar in everything. And as I'm looking at, because I was thinking about the fact that in October is my baptism anniversary, and I was thinking that this year marks 2023 marks 9 years of being, you know, having given myself to Christ. And so I remember thinking about doing like a fast or something like that. And I remember looking at like the Daniel fast, which, like, if you're not familiar with it, in the book of Daniel, but basically like you consist of only eating fruits and vegetables and whole grain, and you can only drink water. So for me, it's like getting rid of, it's basically a vegan diet. You know, it's basically a vegan diet now that we think about it. And you know, I was thinking, well, you know, having that transit, because I don't really buy meat anyway. The only time I ever eat meat is if I'm like going out with a friend, or if I am at my parents' house, because my mom buys like hamburger meat. I don't really cook with meat. So I'm not used to, like, you know, when it comes to grocery shopping, I never shop for meat. Also, primarily because meat is expensive, and I'm very like picky because like I love salmon, I love fish. That's for the most part. But I realized that when I am living on my own, especially when I went to college and then after college and consistently when it comes to my grocery shopping, I never go in the meat department. I mean, some stores it's like meat and seafood department, but I always end up looking at fish anyway. So with changing those, the thing I realized was after I got out of, when I got to college, was I really don't eat much meat at all. So that was something that was not really hard to give up, because they're like, oh, like you shouldn't eat more than your meat intake should be no more than a deck of cards or something like that. So I really don't, like I said. So overall, like the point is that I don't buy meat, and so. Of course I use butter and things like that, but I've been looking at like things in my refrigerator and just my cabinets, and I'm just thinking like what could be a better alternative. Instead of buying flour, regular flour, I just bought a couple weeks ago I bought whole wheat flour. I didn't know that existed, but I'm trying to switch to whole wheat because I feel like maybe that's a better alternative. And I've started looking at a lot of things in the ingredients because I've noticed that sugar is literally in everything. And sugar, I'm going to tell you right now, I have a complete addiction. I have the sweetest tooth you'll ever see. Like at the office, there's one judge who offers donuts every other Friday. And so it's like for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can get a donut before I have to go to court on Friday morning. And so when I think about that, is that it's an addiction. And I read somewhere a long time ago, I have no idea where it was, but I just remember reading it. I read so many things, I never know where they come from. But it was saying that sugar is just as addictive as cocaine. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, it's in everything. Like when we're feeling upset about something, we have chocolate or we have ice cream, For me, ice cream is my weakness. I remember there was one day someone was talking about ice cream, and I was like, ice cream, I want ice cream right now. And I went literally after work, went and bought ice cream because someone said it. I'm worse than a pregnant woman, but I love ice cream, but I noticed that like sometimes when we consume these things, it can make our bodies not feel good. And I understand the aspect of like I remember there was a quote from a magazine that I like put on my personal Instagram a long time ago. It was saying, I'm not about being skinny, I'm all about being strong, which, which I said, I understand the concept of how like, in like a more like grand scheme of things that can be considered, like trying to kind of like masking the real thing. Like, I feel like being skinny is not always like, I don't feel like it's something that a standard we should all strive for, because I know people have this idea, like especially in like the 2000s and like the supermodel era as well. It's like you need to fit into a certain size, and we don't live in that world anymore because we've kind of evolved from that. But when I really think about it, is that it is about being healthy. It's like it's not about trying to fit into a certain size, and it's really about am I consuming things that make me feel good? Because one of the things I realized is that in January of this year, up until January, when I went to go see a primary care physician for the very first time, because the last time I saw a primary care physician was when I was seeing my pediatrician, and I'm 26 years old, so you can do the math on that. So, when you really think about it in the grand scheme of things, is that I was just like permanent. I said I'm permanently tired. I just don't know why I'm tired all the time. And I remember one of the things that I had talked about with my au pair family was I was just so exhausted. I love the kids. I was so exhausted. And I remember my second host mother was talking about how she just felt like I just wasn't, like I'm just, like you don't have a lot of energy to do things. And when I went to the doctor earlier this year, she said, I did some blood tests and I did some other things because they really I was a new patient. They called me and they're like, I think I can understand why you feel tired all the time. You have a significantly low vitamin D deficiency. And so it explains, she said, yeah, because if it's really low, you will feel very tired. And so it explains a lot of things in the past couple of years, because especially when I moved back home from Los Angeles, the other thing is I'm in the sun all the time because Los Angeles, it's hot mostly year round, outside of rain in the winter. So when I came home, it was just kind of like, I'm like, why do I not have any energy for anything? And because I spent more time indoors probably, and I developed that deficiency. And then when I went to Germany, it was the same thing. And I just thought, I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm tired. And I went to bed early, got up early, and I was just like, well, I do my normal routine. Why am I so tired? And I didn't understand why. I was just getting burnt out and so exhausted easily. And so all I had to really do was just take a high dosage prescription of vitamin D. I had to take one a week because it was really, really high. They're like, wait, like when I went to the pharmacy, they're like, did they give you the instructions? You're supposed to take this once a week. Do not take all these pills at once, like, in the same week. Do not do that, So, and I felt better. And I feel like, like I said, when we're focusing on our food and our diets based on trying to fit a certain size, that kind of defeats the purpose of it. I never really like the idea of diet because I feel like it's more of, I just don't like the depravity. Like, oh, I can't eat that. I can't have that. And I feel like you should never have to feel that way. Like, oh, I can't have something. Like I'm telling you, like I was saying, I feel like you can eat whatever you want to your heart's desire, as long as you're putting out more energy than you are putting in. Like, so if I'm exercising all the time, I ride my bike literally to and from work, and then I do yoga in the morning, and I also do a HIIT workout in the afternoon. So, with all that activity, is that eventually, I should be able to, burn off the calories of whatever I eat. And a lot of times I'm hungry. I come to work because when I come to work, I've eaten breakfast at like 5 o'clock because I wake up at 4. Yoga, get ready, breakfast, and then any extra work I want to do, read my newsletter. And then at 10:30, I have a snack because it's been such a long time. And there are times where I'm literally just like sitting there at my desk and I'm thinking, I need to eat something right now. Like I'm hungry. And I'm like, it's not 10:30 yet. It's not 10:30 yet. So when I make it to 10:30, I'll eat a snack or two because my boss, she particularly provides a lot of snacks in our kitchen area, so I don't have to go out and find it. And I bring my lunch every day because, again, like there's a lot of things. Eating out is a lot of money over time, and especially because I track all of my expenses. Is that eating out can cost money if you're doing it frequently. So I bring my lunch, and I usually try to make it before meal prep, and then I eat my lunch on the dot at 12 o'clock. And then after that, for some reason I get tired, I get in a little coma, and then so it was just kind of funny because like my boss and and one of my other colleagues that works in our office, they noticed that, like they're like, yeah, like Jazz, you need to go take a nap. So I'll like sit in the conference room for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then usually after that I'll have a mid-afternoon snack at 2:30 because I really don't eat dinner because I go to bed so early. So I usually eat like about 2 meals a day plus like considering those 2 snack times. So for me, it's just I'm very disciplined about what I eat, and it's because I know how it makes me feel. It's not because I'm trying to be thin or anything like that. I mean, I love being active. That's something I love to do. I don't always do it because I'm trying to, obviously I want to stay in shape and I want to be healthy and I'm really obsessed with like flexibility because that's something that I've been really focusing on. Because I walk a lot, I ride my bike a lot, and I need to make sure that I'm not going to get a cramp, Flexibility is important. And, like I said, my dietary changes have been because of how it makes me feel. I'm tired, and I'm tired all the time. When I eat sugar, I eat it, and then all of a sudden I'm just tired. I'm up, I'm uppity for like 5 minutes, and then I'm down again. And then you kind of get in this rut where you're constantly drinking energy drinks all the time, and it's just kind of, repetitive. I don't drink coffee because I feel like I don't need that. My body's also very sensitive to coffee. And I noticed that after taking that high dosage of vitamin D that I was prescribed, plus making some dietary changes, I feel a lot better. Like trying to figure out what I can do with vegetables because I realized that I was not eating enough vegetables. Like it's not about, like I said, it's not about trying to be on a diet and, eating healthy just as kind of like a way of just saying that you're being healthy. I feel like it's more of a way that it makes me feel. Like when I make an omelet in the morning, I usually will add like spinach or like cilantro and like tomatoes. Sometimes I might add chicken in there because I had some leftover chicken from like an office party and I just brought it home and I just used it for, other cooking. projects that I might have, like for work or, so I put that in there. And then I make pancakes. I have bread that I use to make toast when I do that. I have powdered greens that I can pour in a cup, and I put hot water in it. And some other things I put like almond milk or something like that. I kind of change up my diet because I feel like it makes me feel like I have more energy, and I have a lot on my plate. As you know, I have a full-time job. I have a part-time job that I work one day a week, and then I have a nonprofit that I run, as you all know, and then I have another side business. And then I also have projects that I help with my parents on occasion. And it's a lot, and I have to have the mental capacity. I think we underestimate the aspect of like food is not just for our bodies, but it's for our minds, our mental health, because our brain needs energy to function. Our brain is a muscle. I know we talk about helping, we talk about making sure that we're taking care of our mental health, but sometimes mental health can be contributed to food, like your concentration, your ability to deal with detailed and complicated things, especially if you work in a job that requires that. I feel like we kind of overlook the fact that food and mental health can have a connection. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not anyone to say that, but I feel like for me, it makes a difference. Consuming water more, and looking at your water, because I remember watching some type of documentary series. Oh yeah, it was Down to Earth with Zac Efron. I remember they were talking about how water is actually different. There's a lot of different things that are in your water, like different pHs, like the fact that there's also naturally occurring sparkling water in certain areas. When we're looking at the different types, like minerals that are in it, purified water can strip those minerals because they're purifying it. There's electrolyzed water, alkaline water, like they're all like different water can kind of make a difference. They're all different. And, staying hydrated is really, really important. So that's something I've had to really work on. I've cut out soda. Like soda, I don't really drink very much unless I'm going out. Like I went to go see a movie earlier this afternoon. So I did get a Sprite because I like Sprite, but I don't drink it at home. I know my mom brought me over like 2 orange sodas when she came over here one time, because my mom's always bringing me stuff, and it's kind of like I appreciate that my mom does that. I'm very grateful. However, I do have to tell her sometimes, I'm like, Mom, I can't have that. Like orange soda, they're still in the fridge, and so it's a very seldom thing that, like, if I know I've eaten a lot of sugar or consumed a lot, if I've consumed a lot earlier in the day, I feel like it's really like I cut myself off. Like, no, you can't have that orange soda. You can't do it. I honestly, like I said, I don't think you should be drinking soda anyway, because it can be, like I said, it's sugar. It's bad for you in a lot of different ways when you really think about it. And I was actually Googling like the difference between honey and sugar, like pure cane sugar. And there's really not much of a difference. They're saying that really the difference is like one comes from cane sugar, like, plant, and the other one comes from, is cultivated through bees. Honey can have like vitamins in it, but it's not enough vitamins to really do any different, make any difference. It's like if they have like B vitamins in it or something like that, then it's like a very, very small percentage. So it really doesn't make any sense. This website I was looking at says it would take like 20 cups of honey to actually for you to get like a daily like vitamin intake of whatever those vitamins were. Again, like I said, this is a Google search, so don't quote me on that. But like I was saying, it's just that sugar, it's just everywhere. And so like finding creative ways to not have sugar as much in my diet. Like I said, I love ice cream. I will eat it anytime, any time of day. But I can't, I won't do that because I know that sugar can cause some negative effects on my health. I was watching a TED Talk last weekend where it was like some pancreatic doctor or something like that. She was talking about how sugar can really like make your beta cells in your pancreas work really hard. and like she explained really how that kind of connects to diabetes and like both type 1 and type 2 and what it's really doing to your body. And so like I said, I feel like you shouldn't, like I said, I don't like diets because I feel like you know, like depriving yourself of something is not a good idea. I mean, I like I said, the one judge that's down the hall from us, he brings the donuts every other Friday. That's like 2 weeks out of the month. I'm not eating donuts every single day. It's just 2 weeks out of the month that I get to have a donut, you know, and that's perfectly fine. You know, I think that we need to just make sure that, you know, I feel like for me, this is just my standpoint, is I think we need to look at it from a point of view as not like trying to be skinny or trying to make a certain weight goal. We should focus on it as to how we feel. Like if I feel like I have more energy in the day, you know, in the daytime, and then also with working out, that kind of helps me like with my routine, because I'm trying to tire myself out so that by the time 8 o'clock comes around, I'm tired and I will fall asleep. Because I've had insomnia at one point, and I've had anxiety that has kept me up at night. And so I feel like if I work myself out and, you know, get all of that energy out, then I'll be ready for bed. It's basically as a way of making you feel good about yourself and more productive. You know, so I don't know. I really want to hear your thoughts about that. I feel like I said, with food, our relationship with food, it's weird. So I don't know. I want to know, like, I really want to know, like, how you guys feel about the word diet. Like, does that have something negative for you? Do you ever feel like you're trying to like meet a certain weight goal so you can, I don't know, for whatever reason? I don't know. So. But yeah, I want to know your thoughts on this particular topic, and let me know. So thanks for joining me at the dinner table, and I'll see you next time. Bye.